In my previous life, when I was giving birth, my husband returned home with a beauty. He killed my 2 personal maids and hinted to the midwife, "Childbirth is perilous, it's a matter of life and death." So, the midwife pushed the baby back into the birth canal twice, then performed a cesarean section. I bled to death, and the child was on the brink of death, as a soul for 7 days. I watched helplessly as he relentlessly sought revenge against my father. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn 3 hours before giving birth. 2 maids, one was about to boil water, the other was going to fetch the midwife. I stopped the maids and shouted, "Go home." Having died a miserable death in my previous life, I couldn't just wait to be slaughtered again in this new one. Lan Lan reached out to touch my forehead. "Mistress, this is your home, return to my mother's home. But you are about to give birth, if this causes any trouble, and the child is born on the way." Xiao He, however, was obedient and immediately started packing. Better to be born on the road than to die here. I stopped Xiao He, who was packing her belongings. "You run fast, go home first to inform them, and ask mother to meet us on the way." Xiao He dropped her belongings and ran off. Lan Lan, not understanding what was happening, still reached out to support me, but the frequent contractions made my spine feel like it was being struck, and the uncontrollable gushing of liquid between my legs suggested that childbirth was imminent. But we had barely stepped out the door, the ground trembled, horses neighed, and Song Hong returned earlier than in my previous life. With my left hand supporting Lan Lan, my right hand gripped the long spear tightly. "Where do you think you're taking my Song family's offspring?" "Madam," on horseback, Song Hong held a delicate beauty in his arms, blocking my path. "The path ahead is blocked, and retreat is impossible." I shook off my maid Lan Lan, raised my gun with both hands, its tip gleaming coldly, pointing directly at Song Hong's arrogant nose. "Madam, that's quite amusing, move aside." I didn't have the time or patience to listen to his flowery ramblings, so I threw the long spear in my hand with all my strength. Song Hong was startled and rolled off the horse with the beauty in his arms to dodge. Lan Lan supported me as we ran quickly. Behind us, a trail of blue and red liquid was left, with scattered footprints, and my wet skirt clung to my hips as I broke through the water and saw red. When mother arrived with the Su family's servants and guards, I finally let out the breath I had been holding and fainted. When I opened my eyes again, there was a wild ginseng slice in my mouth, nearly making me choke. After all that trouble, I had somehow returned to the Song family's bright moon courtyard. Fortunately, mother hadn't left. "Mother." I spat out the ginseng slice, tears streaming down my face. Mother hastily wiped her tears. "You mustn't cry. Crying too much during childbirth can make your eyes go blind." But I would rather be blind, otherwise, how could I have fallen for the deceitful beauty of Song Hong, giving him my whole heart? "I want to go home." "What nonsense are you talking? Childbirth is imminent. How can you move around at will? Once the child is born, my child will become a mother." At such times, mother would never bear to see me suffer the back and forth journey. It's also my fault. Previously, I was so infatuated with Song Hong that I couldn't think straight. For every word mother said, I would argue 10 times over for him. Mother might have thought I was being willful. "Mother, your daughter wishes to return to the Su family to give birth. Look at this bright moon courtyard, it's so cold and lifeless, with no warmth at all. I'm afraid it might not be good for the child." "That shouldn't be a big issue, just inform your husband, and it will be settled." Mother readily agreed. At this moment, the midwife entered, and my mother turned to leave, but my labor pains intensified. In my previous life, when the midwife came in, the baby's head was already visible, and she pushed it back twice. I clung tightly to my mother's hand, refusing to let go. The matter of separation can be dealt with slowly, but now is a critical moment concerning life and death. Having my mother by my side can also deter the midwife somewhat. I endured the sharp pain in my lower body and calmly asked, "Did the Lord give you any instructions?" The midwife stammered, unable to explain clearly. My mother also sensed something was wrong and immediately demanded, "Speak." "Not a single word is to be omitted. The Lord said that childbirth for women is a matter of life and death, and if the lady's delivery is not smooth, the marquisate will." I silently exerted my strength. With my mother by my side in this life, the midwife naturally wouldn't dare to mistreat me or my child, but my mother couldn't keep an eye on her every moment. What if the midwife slipped under my skirt and did something else? I wouldn't even have time to cry. Should we save the mother or the child? The child, oh no. The mother. I couldn't listen anymore, gripping my mother's hand with all my strength. As the pelvis felt like it was about to burst, the belly relaxed. And a loud cry grabbed everyone's attention. Xiao was excited. It's born, it's born. Mother patted her hands to reassure me, then grabbed the midwife by the collar. Handle this properly, and don't even think about harboring any malicious intent. The Su General's residence is not to be trifled with. Song Hong was indeed granted a marquisate, but my family is a hereditary general, holding the military talisman, the true commander of the army, in my previous life. I was simply blinded by lust and neglected to be cautious. Out of consideration for his male pride, I went out of my way to please him, dismissing countless servants from the Bright Moon courtyard, resulting in no one attending to me during childbirth, leading to my demise. Now that I have successfully given birth, it seems my rebirth was not in vain. The daughter feels that the Song family is not safe. Mother, you saw it earlier too. Song Hong brought back his sworn sister. And Su Qingqing is pregnant. Upon hearing this, the mother immediately turned around, intent on going to the front yard to inform Song Hong. Xiao He efficiently helped me wash my face and change clothes. Lan Lan methodically packed our belongings, and the Su family servants and guards surrounded my small courtyard tightly. Watching the little one sleeping soundly on the bed, my eyes welled up with tears. We survived. As for Su Qingqing, since Song Hong is willing to treat her like a treasure, I can conveniently use her to make a clean break. The Su General's mansion cannot afford to have two daughters married into the same family. It would be too humiliating, and that is also one of the reasons why Song Hong, in his previous life, went to such great lengths to kill me. When mother returned, her face was ashen. She ordered someone to carry away the couch, but I waved my hand, indicating I wasn't that fragile. With everyone coming to move this wooden bed, I was comfortable, and the child slept soundly. But how would we ever get out of the Song family's gate? Lan Lan brought over the long halberd and helped me put on the armor. Mother wore a veil to cover her little grandson in her arms. Song Hong led several armored guards who had just returned from the front line. Blocking the arched gate of the Bright Moon courtyard, Su Mingyu, you are born a Song family member, and even in death, you will be a ghost of the Song family. If you dare to step out of this courtyard today, never return, get lost. I raised my spear and thrust it forward. Startled, Song Hong stepped back. His eyes filled with disbelief, and his face immediately darkened. Don't push your luck, if you still don't know when to back down. Today I'll divorce you. Faster than his response, I pierced his hem with my spear, slicing off a piece of fabric. Our bond is severed. I hope you keep your word. I'll be waiting at the Su General's residence. You've already brought back Su Qingqing. I hope you come to propose soon. Your Majesty. Tilda behind Song Hong. Su Qingqing's expression was radiant, her eyes shimmering. Why would my sister act this way? The two of us serving one husband would make for a beautiful tale. Only the corners of brothels would have three people sharing a bed playing like fish. Su Qingqing, if you like it, you can summon as many as you want to serve together. With enough silver, you can have as many as you desire. I looked down on her with disdain. She's just a foster daughter of the Su family, one of many. When I call her sister outside, it's just a courtesy. She really thinks she's something special. Song Hong's expression changed. His eyes fixed intently on the fetus in his mother's arms. In a previous life, the child was toyed with twice by the midwife, exhausting all strength in the womb, and when finally delivered by cesarean, was covered in blood, barely clinging to life. Song Hong didn't even lift an eyebrow as he ordered, "The coffin baby, if there's little breath left, bury it." Because I had died first, he viewed the newborn child as inauspicious, fearing it would affect his official career, and even more so, that it would harm the child in Su Qingqing's womb. So, he tossed a bag of silver scraps to the midwife, instructing her to bury the coffin baby in a mass grave. Alas, the child I had risked my life to bring into the world was left in the mass grave, bitten by mosquitoes. torn apart by wild dogs, and pecked at by vultures, he, Song Hong, was unworthy of being a husband and undeserving of being a father. The tip of the spear pressed against Song Hong's chest as I advanced step by step. Forcing him to retreat step by step, I roared, "Get out of the way!" Behind me, the servants and guards of the Su family poured out in a steady stream, surrounding several armored guards. I told Song Hong in a firm tone that if he couldn't leave, we would perish together. Today's incident has already caused a rift between Song Hong and me. My father will undoubtedly be more cautious of him in court in the future. As for Su Qingqing, I can't let my father dissolve their adoptive father-daughter relationship just yet, as I haven't secured the divorce papers. Returning to the Su household, I was nearly exhausted, and I fell into a deep sleep with my child in my arms. When I woke up again, I was met with a pair of dark, clear eyes. He didn't cry or make a fuss, he just used his little hands and mouth to try to get closer to me. My mother had already found a wet nurse while I was asleep. "Minga, are you really sure? Although our dynasty is open-minded and allows women to remarry after divorce, I've never seen a precedent where someone could divorce while still taking their husband's children with them. I will." Before he could finish speaking, his younger brother Su Mingxia rushed in hastily. "Mother, something terrible has happened." His mother rubbed her forehead. "Speak, you're about to be betrothed. How can you be so reckless?" After the court session, father was detained in the palace by the emperor. Did they say why? It is said that soldiers under my brother-in-law went to the emperor's presence to beat the drum, accusing my sister of being unchaste, arrogant, and domineering, and even ordering the household servants to besiege and beat those with military merits. Now, this matter has become the talk of the court, and the emperor is furious, saying that a child's misbehavior reflects on the father's failure in discipline. He wants our father to think carefully about how to properly discipline his children. The emperor also said that if he couldn't figure it out, he shouldn't return. After hearing this, I slapped myself hard several times. My mother was shocked and quickly stopped me. "What are you doing? The emperor is just keeping your father for a scolding. It won't cost him a few pounds of flesh. Why would you harm yourself over this tomorrow?" I took off my outer garment, leaving only my white underclothes, and hastily grabbed the small stool under the bed, directing my younger brother, "Quick, hit me with it a few times." My younger brother dared not, retreating in panic. "Mother, in simple terms, this matter is due to father's lack of proper upbringing, but in the court, things change in an instant. If someone were to seize upon this and claim that the Su family is climbing to high positions by stepping on the merits of soldiers, disrespecting those who fight and struggle at the bottom, or if someone were to sow discord between father and the military, using this as a foothold to seize the military token. After hearing my analysis, my mother and brother also grew serious, understanding the gravity of the situation. If Song Hong instructed someone to slander his wife, can't I fight back? At this point, my brother tremblingly took the weapon. "Sister, bear with it." I bit down on my sleeve and nodded. Reborn into this life, some suffering that should be endured cannot be avoided. This matter can only be classified as marital discord. It must not be associated with the military. Before leaving, I instructed my mother, all the household servants and guards must maintain a unified story. Song Hong, in an attempt to win the favor of a beauty, ordered the guards to assault his estranged wife, and they must prevent me from returning to my family home to recover after childbirth. If they dare to strike the imperial drum and cry out for justice, why can't I, as a newly delivered pregnant woman, worried about my aging father? It is understandable that I might lose my composure momentarily. The drums resounded, and I stood barefoot in white, my face still bearing clear handprints, my back covered in bloody marks, on the verge of fainting. The heavenly messenger by the emperor's side had no choice but to intervene. "What is the meaning of this, Lady Song?" I immediately bowed my head and pleaded. "I beg the messenger's mercy. Su Mingyu and my husband, Song Hong, had a minor quarrel that escalated into a physical altercation. Never did we expect it to disturb the emperor. My husband returned home with a beauty, and driven by momentary jealousy, I sought to return to my family to give birth. Yet, my husband, for the sake of this beauty, sought to harm both me and my child. In the presence of the Son of Heaven, how could a terrified woman dare to speak falsely? This was a family matter. Yet Song Hong instructed the guards to lie and provide false testimony. Could it be that the Su family lacked people? Moreover, it was true that he was accompanied by a beauty. As for my jealousy, it is only natural, as I have always given the impression of being infatuated with Song Hong to the point of losing my composure. Jealousy born of love is reasonable. I knelt trembling before the emperor, tears and snot streaming down my face, clad only in my undergarments. I beg your majesty to punish me. I beseech your majesty to order General Song to divorce me, so as to uphold the proper order of the household. The emperor massaged his temples from his dragon throne. Indeed, a daughter of a general, bold enough to barge into my imperial hall. You are quite reasonable, even asking for a divorce yourself. But I hear that you once stole your sister's betrothal for General Song. The emperor sat in his grand hall, sharp of hearing and keen of sight, but his knowledge was limited to the snippets of gossip circulating among the common folk. Admitting to the act of abducting a bride was out of the question, and it wasn't convenient to defend myself. I straightened my posture and acknowledged my mistake. Mingyu knows she is willful and jealous. Please punish me, your majesty. But I absolutely cannot share a husband with another. The emperor was momentarily at a loss for words, unable to argue back. The daughter of Su who, just like her father, stubborn and insistent to the extreme, the angels around him were also speechless, only lifting their eyelids to admire the upturned eaves and glazed tiles of the palace. I did not bestow a marriage upon you, so this matter must be resolved privately. I will not be the villain who disrupts a union. The people regard food as paramount, and I, as the emperor, feel truly constrained, not even getting a single dinner. Mingda, call Suhu out and have him take his daughter and get out of here. I kowtowed again, your majesty, but in the corner of my eye, a corner of bright yellow robes disappeared, and the emperor had already run off without a trace. My father, calm and composed, followed behind the angel, seeing me covered in bloodstains and with several handprints on my face. He immediately lost his temper. Shameless brat, beating my daughter and having the audacity to accuse her first. The angel waved the floating dust in his hand. General Su, His Majesty said, since it's a family matter, handle it privately. Don't come to the imperial court crying and wailing over every little thing. I don't meddle in the private affairs of ministers, but you shouldn't disturb me while I'm dining with my beloved concubine. General, do you understand what I mean? My father hurriedly knelt down to confess his guilt. After leaving the imperial hall, my father asked me what had happened, but within the palace, there were eyes and ears everywhere. I merely clung to my father's arm and wept, offering no explanation, as any words could be misinterpreted and exaggerated by those with ill intentions. This matter was far from over. Su Qingqing, the identity of the adopted daughter of the Su family, was about to be exposed. I need to get a divorce as soon as possible. Otherwise, when Song Hong realizes the truth, there might be complications. Moreover, to consolidate military loyalty, my father had adopted many daughters, most of whom were married off to military subordinates. Today, my father was reprimanded by the emperor. If anyone thinks he has lost the emperor's favor and takes the opportunity to attack, the situation could become difficult to manage. When father returned home, he grabbed his long spear and was about to go teach Song Hong a lesson. Mother and my younger brother tried their best to stop him. Me, father, your daughter wants a divorce from Song Hong. The long spear fell to the ground, and father was heartbroken. How did you and Song Hong come to this point? Listen to your father. It's common for colleagues in the court to secretly trip each other up. He raised his hand and pointed to the sky. Those above don't allow those below to be as solid as a barrel. Now that you and Song Hong have children, how can you casually talk about separation? Daughter, you mustn't act rashly. Mother also advised. My child, you must think this through. I immediately knelt down. Daughter said before the emperor today that she would not share a husband with another, not out of jealousy or resentment, but because she fundamentally disagrees. Father, Qingqing is also pregnant. Father asked in confusion, who is Qingqing? Mother cast a sidelong glance at him and said, It's one of those girls you rescued from the battlefield, the one who didn't want to marry a soldier. She disliked that soldiers drill every day, with sweat stench, smelly feet, and a stench all over their bodies, so she ran off with a scholar. Father helped me up from the ground, she dares to come back. Song Hong is interested in such a thing. Divorce, divorce, it must be done. I support my daughter on this. Mother, all you know is divorce, divorce, divorce. Do you have a plan for what to do? Father slapped his thigh. This is simple, just welcome and see off. My younger brother scratched his head in confusion. Dad, what do you mean? I pouted. I divorced Song Hong, and my father married off my adopted sister Su Qingqing in a grand ceremony, maintaining the marital ties between the two families without damaging the relationship. In my previous life, Song Hong concealed my death and married Su Qingqing first. Upon learning of my death, my father immediately severed the marital ties. Song Hong was baffled, and to win his favor, Su Qingqing voluntarily revealed that my father had saved many women on the battlefield. Song Hong joined forces with his father's old rival to create this crisis, fabricating numerous baseless evidences, and accused his father of harboring sinister intentions in front of the palace, ultimately resulting in his father's exile to a distant land. This time, I will spare no effort to ensure that the tragedy does not happen again. The next day, upon receiving the news, Song Hong came to the door himself. His father did not bring up the past, lowering his stance and earnestly advising him to consider the reputation of the general's mansion, and that two daughters should not enter the same household. After the event, the two shared drinks and talked cheerfully. The father pretended to be drunk and patted his shoulder, saying, "You, my old friend, have taken away the most charming daughter of the Su family. From now on, you must never betray her. If my father-in-law truly values this daughter, then why did you arrange her marriage to a poor scholar?" The father was so angry that he almost lost control. His younger brother quickly stepped in to support him, saying, "Brother-in-law, father has had too much to drink. Many household matters are decided by my mother." Taking the opportunity, the father smashed the wine cup to the ground and said, "Come, come, today we shall become sworn brothers. From now on, you and I, brother-in-law, father really drank too much." My younger brother stepped forward to cover his mouth and dragged him away. The next day, Song Hong arranged for someone to deliver the betrothal gifts for Song Qingqing and brought along the divorce papers between me and him, along with a message: "Since both are Su family daughters, there's no need to return Su Mingyue's dowry. Consider it as a gesture of affection from her father for Qingqing, and leave it all to her." Father had to put on a show in front of the Song family servants and couldn't lose his temper. With a forced smile, he took the divorce papers and glanced through them. "Your belly is already large, and your indiscretion before marriage has already brought shame to the Su family's reputation. It is not appropriate to hold a grand banquet to invite guests on the wedding day. Moreover, since she has already been living in the Song residence before the wedding, the ceremony should be simplified. Just put up a decorative facade. There's no need for her to go through the trouble of coming and going. On the wedding day, skip the tea ceremony and filial offerings, and just have an empty sedan chair go back and forth to complete the ritual." The trusted envoy who delivered the betrothal gifts was left speechless and could only relay the message as it was. On the day of Song Hong and Su Qingqing's wedding, what was even more sensational than the wedding itself was the news that the Su family had taken back a divorced woman and sent a beautiful bride to the Song residence. Spreading through the streets and alleys of the capital in an instant, even the emperor, who spent his days guarding the throne, heard the news and publicly scolded his father for having the audacity of a dog. Faced with the emperor's wrath, the father trembled and, in front of the civil and military officials, shamelessly prostrated himself on the ground. "Please punish me, Your Majesty. It was not my intention, and the internal circumstances are such that I have no words to justify myself." What internal circumstances? If not for this incident, I would not have known how closely the military generals in the court are connected. The emperor's reaction, my father and I had been discussing at home for days. As expected, the emperor, mindful of my father's years of hard work, only scolded him a few times in court before dismissing the session with a cold expression and leaving. When my father returned home from court, he rushed to me in a flurry, saying, "Daughter, why must we wait for others to accuse me of harboring ill intentions by raising an adopted daughter before we can resist? Why can't we simply confess honestly in front of the emperor and the court officials, and perhaps be forgiven on the spot?" I gently patted the sleeping child. "If you are in a position of power, which would make you feel more at ease? A subordinate who is caught off guard by a colleague's accusation and is scrambling to respond, or one who is meticulous, prepared for any eventuality, and holds the military seal?" The father was momentarily speechless. "Well, naturally, it would be the former. Even you think so. What do you think of that person? As a general holding the military seal, you can be stubborn, you can have your own little schemes, but you absolutely cannot be smooth and adaptable in all directions. How can someone with a restless mind be allowed to control military power beside the bed?" Father's actions are only to better fulfill the tasks entrusted by the Son of Heaven. When commanding troops far from home, there are often mishaps in the transportation of troops and provisions, but if the soldiers are not well fed and lack weapons, how can they fight? How can they win the battle? This is the art of war. A gentleman does what is right and refrains from what is wrong, but all actions are for the sake of the country. After hearing my analysis, Father's eyes immediately lit up, and he excitedly slapped his thigh. "Got it. As a rough and unrefined father, I couldn't think of a better way to ensure the supply of food and fodder during the war, so I had no choice but to arrange for my adopted daughter to marry a colleague in charge of military supplies." I sighed and looked up. "No, this alone won't do. Some of your former subordinates indeed transferred to military supplies. These things cannot be faked." "But someone might investigate in detail." Father asked. "What should we do then?" I said firmly, "Self-defilement." Father stroked my hair and said, "Daughter, divorce is not a matter of life and death. Do not lose your true nature and resort to unscrupulous means because of it." At that moment, my younger brother burst in. "Sister, Song Hong has brought a lot of people and is trying to take away your son. Mother is currently outside trying to stop them, although I have divorced Song Hong. The child is his flesh and blood, and the divorce papers did not specify the custody of the child, and now, Song Hong still clings to our father's influence, not yet at the point of open conflict. My child is the best bond between the two families, having been reborn for several days. How could I not have made any preparations? The so-called self-defilement is not about smearing dirt on my father, but about diverting the attention of the emperor and court officials, turning the suspicion of military collusion back into a rivalry between the Song family and the private matters of the abandoned wife and the current wife in the inner chambers. I will position myself at a disadvantage, thereby planting the seed that the adopted daughter is useful but also uncontrollable. Thus, I have already had someone spread the rumor in the capital under Su Qingqing's name. The child in Su Mingyue's womb is not Song Hong's biological son. The private affairs of noble families always quickly pique the curiosity of the common folk, and father didn't know because I had just arranged it before he went to court. Naturally, Song Hong, who served in the same court, also did not receive the news, so I deliberately dressed up, applied thick makeup, and painted an exaggerated blood-red lip. As soon as I stepped out of the courtyard, it startled my mother so much that she couldn't regain her composure for a long time. As expected, the entrance of the Su residence was already surrounded by many onlookers. I strained to recall Su Qingqing's pretentious demeanor from my past life. Leaning on the doorframe, "Song Lang, are you here to take me and our son back to the residence?" Seeing Song Hong sway on horseback, I lifted my skirt and stepped over the threshold, advancing step by step, with a gleeful grin revealing blood-red lips. "Mother, quickly pack the daughter's belongings. Song Lang is here to take the daughter home." After speaking, without waiting for his mother's response, he pushed her back into the courtyard. "Mother, take the valuable and lightweight items from home, and you can send the rest to the Song residence later." Song Hong naturally wouldn't let the situation continue to escalate. With a look of disdain, he dismounted. "Su Mingyu, don't embarrass yourself. There is only one lady of the Song family now, and that is your sister, Su Qingqing." "Song Lang, why, we have been husband and wife for 5 years. and I have accompanied you to the battlefield, killing the enemy. Have you forgotten all that, you vicious woman, in the entire capital, which noble lady is like you, wielding swords and spears, killing without batting an eye? You even have the audacity to imitate Qin Qin's delicate charm. It's like Dong Shi imitating Shi Shi. It's simply laughable. Father suddenly had an idea. Son-in-law, no matter what. Mingyu is my own daughter. You can't forget her just because you've married a new wife. Even if you don't care about her, think about the Buddha's face. Mingyu has also given you a little son, hasn't she? Song Hong quickly bowed his head. Father-in-law, something terrible has happened. The person arranged by my brother appeared. Father had already decided to sever all ties with his foster daughters, so how could he publicly acknowledge the title of father-in-law? Hearing someone shouting in panic, he immediately turned around. What's the rush? Where is your decorum? General, it's bad. There are rumors outside, about the young lady, saying, Father bellowed angrily, speak. Rumors say that the young lady was unfaithful and had an affair, giving General Song a green hat. They also claim that you, to please your son-in-law, chose the most beautiful daughter in the family to marry General Song. In order to cover up the scandal of the Grand General's mansion, Father glanced at me helplessly and roared, nonsense. Which blind turtle dared to fabricate lies and spread rumors about the General's residence? Don't they want to live? Come, select 10 guards, and take the person to the authorities, hidden in my sleeve. I quietly gave my father a thumbs up, by having the person sent to the authorities. My father not only cleared his own name but also put an end to all unfavorable speculations about the General's residence. The Su family did not spread rumors about not wanting to return the Song family offspring. It was that someone did not want the young master to enter the house. Speak. Is it because you were unfaithful? Father is really getting into the act, grabbing my ear as soon as he comes up and turning to address the onlookers outside. I apologize to all the elders and villagers. Su who does not know what exactly has happened outside, so naturally, we start by investigating our own household. If my daughter has committed a private moral offense, I will personally escort her to the emperor to confess. Without waiting for General Song to speak, I will then send her to a nunnery, where she will remain for life and never be allowed to enter our family again. General Song, I am sorry for the unfortunate situation at home. I cannot accompany you. The people from the Su family guarding outside also one by one lowered their heads and slunk back into the courtyard, cut off from the outside world's chaos and baseless speculation. Returning home, my father, frustrated with my actions, raised his fist to hit me but then let it drop weakly. Is this the good idea you came up with? Such self-defilement. Have you ever seen any daughter gamble with her own purity? Do you still want to get married in the future? I rubbed my ears. Father. Whether I get married or not is a matter for later. My daughter's purity is minor. This matter serves 2 purposes. Mother was also on the verge of tears with anger. Come, you've grown quite skilled. I'd like to hear how this is a 2-bird, 1-stone situation. First, if something happens, we can use this to inform the higher-ups. The adopted daughter is uncontrollable, and her father is a rough man who only had a momentary idea without deep consideration. The one who uses the adopted daughter as an excuse is the one with truly malicious intentions, trying to sow discord between the emperor and you. Second, if the child's identity is in doubt, Song Hong can't force the issue, and this way, the child can truly stay by my side. Father pointed angrily at my forehead. Do you think the Ministry of Justice is just for show? My younger brother also rubbed his head. Sister, I also think you're oversimplifying things. If Song Hong casually pushes out a servant from the household and admits that the rumors are due to his lack of oversight, resulting in someone in the household observing and flattering the matriarch, then the matter would revert to square one, wouldn't it? This, I hadn't thought about in detail. In order to forcibly tie themselves to the general's estate, it's not impossible for Song Hong to act in this manner. Then I'll really give him a green hat, admit to having an affair. Who can blame me for being left alone in the boudoir, lonely and cold, when he's constantly away at war? It's not impossible for someone as arrogant and domineering as me to make a mistake. Father's palm still landed on my forehead. Just shut up, stop talking nonsense. the rest of the matters, you don't need to worry about. Your father has his own plans. If there are any further plans, the whole family must be informed beforehand, otherwise, before others can do anything to us. We'll already be in disarray, Mother chimed in with father, speaking from the same page. Exactly, you didn't even give a heads up. It scared me so much. I thought you were genuinely regretful and wanted to go back with Song Hong. I obediently admitted my mistake. Like a boneless snake climbing up to my mother, Dad just said that a family should communicate first, but he clearly said he had his own plan. Mother immediately changed her stance. That's right, what's your good plan? Let's discuss it together. Even 3 cobblers can outsmart Zhuge Liang. Father's expression changed. He glanced around the courtyard, then led us into the house. Father looked around the doorway, carefully closed the door. He lowered his voice and urged, "What happened today carries immense responsibility. Once you step out of this door, don't speak of it casually." Having been with my father in the military for many years, my mother understood the gravity of the situation. She looked at me and my brother with some concern. I immediately raised my hand and said, "I'm a mother now, and in a family, we share both blessings and hardships, and face difficulties together." My brother also immediately swore, "Father, Mother, I'm about to get married. I know what's important and what's urgent." Father finally felt at ease and then pointed to the roof with his index finger, "His old. And each generation has its own talents. I've been in command of the army for many years. No matter who comes to power, they will need our family's support. Your father is also getting old. I want to exchange the military token for our family's stability and for a future for my young grandson. Dad, are you planning to take sides early?" My younger brother, being young, couldn't hold back and asked, "No, whoever that person supports, I will support. I'm just showing goodwill in advance." In a past life, Song Hong allied with his father's rivals, sided with the third prince, and preemptively seized the military token from his father, ultimately earning the emperor's favor and being named crown prince. This suggests that the emperor had long intended for his father to step down. It was merely a coincidence that someone set a trap, and the emperor took the opportunity to sentence his father to exile. If not for my daughter's reminder, I would have forgotten. The military token is a national treasure. As a subject, one must know what to do and what not to do. Brother was excited. "Dad, what are you planning to do?" "I will go to the palace tonight in civilian clothes and present my case to the emperor, stating my age and the complexity of military affairs and human hearts, expressing concern that there may be disloyalty in the future, and requesting him to appoint another virtuous general to take over." I was shocked. Father was using a tactic of retreat to advance. Didn't he worry that the emperor might seize the military token in the process? What if Song Hong takes over? This isn't just going back to the old ways of our past life. Father gave us a reassuring pat on the shoulder, signaling us not to worry. "Don't be afraid, the military token won't fall into Song Hong's hands. The reason I'm offering an apology is related to him. It's precisely because of his greed for beauty that the General's Mansion and the Song Mansion have become a laughingstock among the people of the capital. It's all due to my lack of oversight. I'm willing, but I'm powerless, old fox," my brother blurted out, giving a thumbs up. Immediately received a hard slap from my mother. "No one is to leave the house today. Everything will wait until your father returns from the palace." As night fell, my mother restricted all the servants in the mansion from leaving without permission. Father changed into black clothes, donned a felt hat, and quietly entered the palace. My mother, my younger brother, and I stayed in the hall, each of us with wide eyes, not daring to even blink, until his father returned. His face was weary but his expression was excited. His mother asked, "Did they take it away?" His father shook his head. "The emperor only told me that we might have to endure some more hardships in the near future, and that after enduring this period, something good will happen to our family." I didn't dare to ask more. "What about the little grandson?" The father shook his head again. "Today is just about going to the palace to confess. What does it have to do with the child?" Mother was angry and about to scold, but I quietly pulled her hand. "Mother, it's right that father doesn't mention it." "Why? If you were the emperor and I handed over the military token while making demands, what would you think? Isn't it just a trade?" The younger brother instantly understood. No, the emperor can grant, but the subject cannot demand. There is no exchange in front of the throne, only threats. Because the positions are not equal. Father nodded with a smile on his face. Exactly so, thinking about it. Although I had experienced my previous life and knew that my father was harmed, I couldn't see through the reasons behind it. I only assumed that Song Hong was secretly plotting and even cursed the sage for being incompetent and foolish. Now it seems, I was just blinded by a single leaf. My younger brother is right. In front of the sage, there is no exchange, only bestowal. This is the mindset of those in power. Father, you just mentioned that the saint said you will have to endure some grievances, which must mean something big is about to happen. It also indicates that the saint is already aware of what happened in front of our house today. Regardless, whatever actions Song Hong takes next, his actions are all for the military token. He is the one with ill intentions. I instantly understood the key point. Otherwise, why must it be a daughter from the Su family, whether one or two? Why deny it and blame it on the servants? What is the real intention? Mother patted her chest. Thankfully, heaven is on our side. Father shook his head. I admitted my guilt and petitioned the emperor to revoke the military token. The emperor didn't say a word at the time, so your father had to keep kneeling. I was sweating profusely then. You wouldn't understand. Mother kindly offered tea, so we just wait. Father waved tiredly. Wait, sleep, sleep. Even if the sky falls, there's the emperor to hold it up. Mother immediately retorted. Is this what you should say after commanding the army for so many years? My brother and I were equally exhausted, barely able to keep our eyes open. With father's permission, we immediately escaped. When I opened my eyes again, the wet nurse was holding the little one who was cooing and babbling. The young master must be missing his mother. After finishing his milk, he doesn't sleep but keeps talking and talking. Although I can't understand what the young master is saying, I strangely feel his emotions. May I ask, what is the young master's name? So that when I play with him in the future, I won't accidentally offend any taboos. I suddenly realized that since my rebirth, I see the child every day, but every day I think only of Song Hong. I had forgotten to give the child a name, Su Mu. In the poetry of the minor odes, it is said, when you, the shepherd, come, why the robe and the hat? All I want is for my child to be free in the future, free in thought, acting according to their heart, unafraid of external things, unconcerned about others' minds. In a previous life, my child, because I had no defenses, met with a tragic end, facing immense tribulations from the moment of birth. As soon as I reach out, the little one reaches out too. He kept mumbling to himself, Su Mu, what a nice name for a young master. During those 7 days of my previous life when I drifted as a soul, I had thought, if there is a next life, I must make him only a member of the Su family. With no connection whatsoever to the Song family. Su Mu, you like the name too, don't you? The wet nurse also got excited. Look, the young master likes it. Later, when my younger brother came in to play with the child, he told me, Sister, Song Hong has indeed made a move. He instructed the servants to take responsibility for the rumor. Did the authorities confirm it just like that? Of course, we can't be so hasty. After investigating all the person familiar with the matter, the official authorities found a clue. The person spreading the rumors was dressed in the attire of a servant from the Song household, wearing a bamboo hat, and no one has ever seen their true face. It seems that what my father said about the Ministry of Justice not being useless is indeed true. They are just doing their job to fulfill their duties. But I think, with the involvement of the emperor, Song Hong has dug his own grave this time. Now that I think about it, in my previous life, he fabricated so many witness testimonies, and those pieces of evidence were enough to sentence the entire Su family to exile. Yet the emperor only sentenced my father alone. The actions of a saint truly cannot be fathomed by the thoughts of ordinary people. 2 days later, the matter of my father adopting numerous foster daughters was exposed in court. Song Hong, just as in my previous life, presented numerous pieces of evidence, accusing my father of ulterior motives and attempting to disrupt the imperial order. Those military colleagues who had previously formed connections with my father through these foster daughters all clammed up. and not a single one in the military spoke up for him. The emperor had my father thrown into the prison right there in court. Song Hong continued to prattle on, even criticizing his father for lax discipline in raising his daughter, accusing him of favoritism, and petitioning the emperor to restore his wife's honor. The emperor said, "Minister Song has rendered great service, and it is fitting to do so. However, to grant an official recognition, one must verify her lineage. Since Su Qingqing is the adopted daughter of the Su family, she naturally has biological parents." The entire court of civil and military officials, who were not shrewd individuals themselves, the current emperor, addressing his subordinates as Lord. This is not a good thing, but the emperor's orders must be carried out, and done well. Immediately, someone volunteered to investigate Su Qingqing's background, and this was different from the previous life. In a previous life, Song Hong, having overthrown his father, was granted a royal marriage by the emperor. As a secondary wife, Su Qingqing had no choice but to step aside. Of course, she wasn't willing, but Song Hong threatened her family to force her compliance. What surprised me was that after the court session, the first to trouble us wasn't Song Hong, but Su Qingqing. She burst into my room, acting wildly. "Why didn't you die? Why, even though I've become the female ruler, do I still have to be investigated about my background? But it doesn't matter. The people who could threaten my position were already cleaned up when I entered the capital. Go ahead and investigate." I suddenly realized that I wasn't the only one who had been reborn. Perhaps because I died a tragic death in my previous life, she never considered me a rival. "Me, you stole my husband, yet you dare to be so arrogant. After all, our parents raised you for years, and my mother even arranged for someone to teach you the etiquette of a proper young lady. It was you who refused." "Shut up." Su Qingqing's expression was twisted, her words filled with disdain. "What does it matter if you're alive? Song Hong is a great general, and I am the female ruler. I have changed everything. You and that bastard son of yours better stay obediently in the Su family and don't come out, or I'll make sure you suffer more than death." No wonder the rumor I arranged about Su Mu not being Song Hong's son was distorted. No wonder that rumor wanted to crush me completely. They even fabricated that my father arranged for the most beautiful daughter of the Song family to remarry to cover up my scandal in order to please Song Hong. She really is harming others without benefiting herself. Just like in a previous life, she ran away with someone, yet she falsely accused her mother of drugging her and forcing her into bed with a scholar. She went to great lengths to get close to Song Hong, who had achieved success. Now, for her own sake, she killed the scholar's entire family when she arrived in the capital. Is this really a good thing? I will not bore you, nor will I ever appear before the female lord. What my father mentioned earlier about enduring some grievance should refer to this imprisonment. Naturally, I also had to lower my stance and act submissively. Otherwise, with my father imprisoned and me being a married woman with a husband and a child, what grounds did I have to be arrogant? "You'd better keep a low profile, out of respect for my foster parents' years of upbringing and for the years you've called me sister. I won't make things too difficult for you." I nodded, understood. Completely understood. 3 months later, the court officials sent to investigate returned. During this time, Song Hong began to act more boldly, daily exchanging visits and toasts with officials in the court. Su Qingqing, she was the one who ordered the killing of the scholar's family. The familiar neighbor was still there. Thus, her scandal with Song Hong was exposed in court. The neighbor testified that Su Qingqing was already pregnant before she left the scholar's house. Upon hearing this, Song Hong flew into a rage in court, losing control of his temper and kicking her in front of the emperor, so much so that she experienced abdominal pain and bleeding on the spot, resulting in a miscarriage. Even the emperor was startled. In front of the imperial carriage, seeing blood without a formal decree is an extremely inauspicious event. Song Hong, by disturbing the emperor's procession, is no different from wielding a knife in front of the Son of Heaven, except that his weapon is his legs. Those courtiers who had taken the wrong side now hung their heads dejectedly, but the quick-witted ones immediately revealed the false testimony, pinning it all on Song Hong. The emperor also snapped back to reality, immediately infuriated, sentenced him to have his legs cut off and then be exiled 1,000 miles. Song Qingqing, for her indiscretion, was ordered by the emperor's decree to be executed outside the Noon Gate, serving as a warning to all women with ill intentions that they must not disregard proper etiquette. Her death also stirred up no small commotion in the court. Even the noble concubines secluded in the inner palace issued an edict: as wives, one should share hardships and progress with their husbands, and should not spend all day hiding in the inner chambers, only knowing how to pick flowers and tend to plants. As husbands, one should advance hand in hand with their wives, allowing her to utilize her unique skills for the peace of the household and the livelihood of the family, and should not weaken or overlook the role of women in the family due to their physical frailty. This edict appeared very abruptly and strangely. When father is released from prison, the noble summons us. I, along with my parents and brother, are required to enter the palace to meet with the noble. The first words the noble speaks upon seeing me are, "You are quite remarkable, truly remarkable. You did not tarnish the reputation of women after the divorce. Song Hong does not understand your sacrifices, but I understand the hardships a woman faces on the battlefield. You risked your life for him, striving to build the marquisate fortune. He, with just one move, shed the chicken feathers and got cocky, truly deserves to die. What could I do but kowtow and express gratitude? You are Su." The noble pointed at the younger brother, Su Mingxia. The mother elbowed the younger brother and quickly explained, "The child is simple and inexperienced. I'm afraid I've amused your highness. Only with clarity can one govern the world." "Very good." Hearing the praise, the younger brother immediately blushed and quickly lowered his head, not daring to look up again. 7 days later, an imperial decree arrived from the palace. After receiving an imperial marriage decree, my younger brother is betrothed to the daughter of the third imperial prince, who is also the biological daughter of a noble concubine in the palace. This is similar to the previous life, yet also different. In the past, after Su Hong slandered our father and rose in rank, he too received an imperial marriage decree, but it was with a palace maid serving the noble concubine. 10 days later, to ensure my younger brother is worthy of this marriage and to elevate my status as a widow, the palace has sent another commendation. The emperor, moved by my meritorious service on the battlefield, has bestowed upon me the title of county princess. From now on, I can have my own residence and office, no longer needing to marry, awkwardly squeeze into the Su family, or worry about the entanglements of the Song family. On the day of my brother's wedding, the third prince also became the crown prince. My father still holds the military power. No one's loyalty could surpass that of the father-in-law of the third prince's brother-in-law. On the day of my brother's wedding, my father was so overjoyed that he drank 10 bowls of strong liquor and even wanted to become sworn brothers with the crown prince on the spot. This frightened my brother so much that he didn't even enter the bridal chamber and instead arranged for our father to rest in his room first. "You fool, although our family appears prosperous now, the days ahead will be luxurious but also precarious. You must treat the princess well and never betray her. From now on, I will have to play the role of a simple, honest, and rough man until the end. It's so annoying." A month later, a colleague brought good news. Song Hong did not make it to the place of exile, having fallen ill on the way and died without recovery. As for me, I had established my own household, living. I could be a good mother, a good sister, a good daughter, a good aunt, but no longer needed to live for any man who was not my concern. I also lived freely and unrestrained. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. When I went to Jiangnan to visit my grandmother, my half-sister took the opportunity to climb into my fiancé's bed. On the day I returned to the capital, my half-sister knelt outside the mansion gate with her flat belly, begging me to grant her wish. Shen Heng rushed over, pushed me to the ground, and angrily accused me of having a cruel heart. My heart was filled with despair, and I resolved to let the two of them be. After seeing Shen Heng's true colors clearly, I was very grateful for my sobriety at that time. Later, the crown prince extended an olive branch to me, and I took it without hesitation. Naturally, I deserve something better. Grandmother's birthday was approaching, and mother took me back to Jiangnan several days in advance. I was so immersed in the scenery that was so different from the capital that I didn't want to leave, and before I knew it, over a month had passed. One day, I suddenly received news that my half-sister Jiyu Ru had been caught in a compromising position with Shunheng. I sat on the edge of the bed, on the verge of collapse, staring in disbelief at the maid who had come to deliver the news. It's impossible. Shunheng and I have been childhood sweethearts since we were young, and we have an engagement. How could he do something so treacherous? Bao kept kowtowing. Madame Liu has sealed off our courtyard specifically to prevent news from spreading. The sisters in the courtyard tried every possible way to send me here to inform you. Miss, you must prepare early. Looking at Bao before me, her tattered clothes yet her eyes full of concern, I felt a moment of disorientation. The capital is thousands of miles away from Jiangnan, and it goes without saying how much hardship this little girl, unfamiliar with the place, endured on the journey alone, yet she gritted her teeth and came, just to give me a head start. She wasn't my confidant. Just the most inconspicuous little maid in the courtyard responsible for cleaning, yet the person I had treated like a real sister since childhood, and those I had truly trusted, had conspired to betray me. By the way, father is still in the mansion. How could he just watch such a ridiculous thing happen? With hopeful eyes, I asked Bauer, does father know about this? What did he say? Bauer was silent for a moment before replying softly. The order to seal off the courtyard was given personally by the master. Indeed, without the father's tacit approval, how could a mere concubine dare to point fingers at the eldest daughter's courtyard? Bauer cautiously raised her head to glance at me, hesitating to speak. I gave a bitter smile. What else is there? Speak all at once. Bauer mustered her courage and declared loudly, the second young lady might be with child. When I left, Auntie Liu was in a hurry to have the young Marquis come propose marriage. I abruptly stood up from the edge of the bed, suppressing the dizziness in my head. Go inform my mother. I need to return to the capital. Lady Shun, mother of Shunheng, and my own mother were close friends, like sisters who exchanged handkerchiefs. The Duke of Shun and my father were also as close as brothers. Even before I was born, Shunheng had pointed at my mother's belly, insisting that this was to be his wife. My parents were not displeased by this. Instead, they said that if it really was a daughter, they would give her to him as a wife. So, I had a fiancée even before I was out of swaddling clothes. Shunheng has always been good to me since we were young, whether it was the candied fruits from the Zhong family or the cosmetics from the Li family. If I liked something, no matter how far it was, he would personally go and buy it for me. The storage room in my courtyard, dedicated to holding the items he gave me, grew from one to several. Last year on my birthday, Shunheng traveled thousands of miles to personally pick snow lotus from the Tian Shan Mountains. That day, he held the pure white snow lotus, gazing at me affectionately, saying that I alone were enough for his entire life. But no sooner had I left the capital than he got together with Jiyu Ru. Rubbing my aching head, I sighed, returned to the mansion. I had originally planned to go straight to the Duke of Shun's residence and confront Shunheng face to face to get a clear answer, but seeing the maid's exhaustion, I changed my mind. It's better to return to the manor, rest, and thoroughly sort out the situation before settling accounts. However, the carriage slowly came to a halt. Plum Blossom glanced at me, her face filled with anxiety, and said, Miss. Auntie Liu somehow found out the news and is kneeling outside the manor gates with second miss, saying she wants to apologize to you, and there are quite a few common folk gathered around. My heart sank. Even the timid Auntie Liu had some skill. It seems I have underestimated them. Mother and daughter. Jiyu Ru's sorrowful sobs echoed, eldest sister, it's all my fault. Please forgive Rua. The spring chill was biting, and she was only wearing a thin spring garment. Shivering uncontrollably in the piercing wind, looking truly pitiful, Madame Liu stammered in agreement, eldest young lady, please be magnanimous and do not blame the second young lady. The mother and daughter cried, one sob louder than the other, their voices rising in unison. They'd think I've done something to them. I gave Bauer a meaningful glance, then helped Lame down from the carriage. As soon as my feet touched the ground, I feigned surprise and asked, Rua, Auntie Liu, what are you doing? Why are you kneeling on the ground? Ji Ru crawled forward a few steps, tears streaming down her face, and choked out, "Sister, Rua knows she has done wrong and has no face to see you. That's why I'm kneeling at the door to ask for forgiveness. Please forgive your sister for her momentary lapse." Auntie Liu kowtowed repeatedly towards me. "Please, for the sake of the young age of the second young lady and her ignorance, forgive her this time." The confused common folk whispered among themselves, "What crime could she have committed to be kneeling at the main gate? Is this the way of the high-ranking families? It seems too harsh. Indeed, such a young girl, dressed so thinly, what if she catches a chill? Everyone says the eldest daughter of the general's mansion is sensible, but it seems not so impressive after all." Looking at Ji Ru, whose lips were slightly raised, I was quite puzzled. "Rua, you keep saying you want me to forgive you, but I really don't know what you've done wrong. Why don't you tell everyone here, so they can judge for themselves?" "Okay." Ji Ru's face froze, as if she hadn't expected me to react this way. She must have thought I would lose my temper on the spot, as I used to, which is why she deliberately chose to confess her wrongdoings at the mansion gate and intentionally attracted the attention of the common folk, hoping to ruin my reputation through their gossip. But this time, I wouldn't fall for her tricks. I furrowed my brow slightly, speaking with concern. "Rua, what exactly did you do wrong? It's okay, just tell me and we'll solve it together." Faced with my questioning, Ji Ru began to stammer. She probably knew that stealing her elder sister's fiancé wasn't something to be proud of. She lowered her head, wiping away tears incessantly, yet never uttering a word. I sighed and took out a handkerchief to dab at the corners of my eyes. "Rua, is it because I didn't take you to Jiangnan this time? I asked you in front of father before, and you said that Aunt Liu's brother was getting married, so you refused me. Why are you now acting spoiled? Forget it. I'll take you to visit my grandmother another day. To neglect your own maternal grandmother and instead show affection to your aunt's brother, such petty behavior is enough to invite ridicule." Ji Ru's face turned a deep shade of purple. "It's not like that at all. Who's throwing a childish tantrum?" I raised an eyebrow. "Oh, then what exactly is the reason you're willing to humiliate yourself by kneeling outside the bustling manor gates just to apologize to me, to an outsider? It might seem like the apology is just a pretense, and the real goal is to tarnish my reputation." Seeing that things were taking a turn for the worse, Auntie Liu quickly interjected. "The second miss accidentally made a small mistake, afraid that you would be angry if you found out, so she waited here specially." "Oh, is that so?" I said with a half smile, half sneer. "I returned early, and even my father doesn't know when I arrived. Yet Madame Liu knew in advance. What a remarkable skill. As for your claim that Rua only made a small mistake, if it truly was a minor matter, then it wouldn't be an issue." A flicker of joy crossed Ji Ru's face. "Really, sister? You forgive me. As long as I publicly declare my forgiveness in front of the common folk, she can then claim that Shun Heng was willingly given to her by me. Not only can she marry the man of her dreams, but she can also escape the stigma of seducing her own brother-in-law. What a well-calculated plan." Just then, Bear suddenly rushed out with the maids who had stayed behind in my courtyard. They stumbled as they ran, their faces haggard, and suddenly knelt before me, crying out, "Young mistress, you finally returned." Madame Liu had our courtyard sealed off and cut off our supplies, trying to starve us to death. Before Madame Liu could explain, I cut in, asking, "Why would the courtyard be sealed without reason? Did you do something wrong?" The maids protested loudly. Second mistress and the duke's son slept together after drinking, and Madame Liu was guarding the door when master happened to discover it. "She's afraid I'll inform the young lady about this, so she wants to starve us to death." A wave of murmurs erupted among the crowd. I glared at Ji Ru and Madame Liu, whose faces had turned pale. "Well, stealing my husband, sealing off my courtyard, and committing murder, this is what you call a trivial matter?" Ji Ru shouted in disbelief. "How did you get out?" "My mother clearly locked your courtyard gate." Madame Liu's face flashed with a hint of panic, but she calmly explained, "The young ladies misunderstand. How could I possibly seal off the eldest young lady's courtyard? It was the master who was afraid that the eldest young lady might hastily learn of this and become flustered, So he ordered me to keep the servants in check and ensure the matter is not spread. So even Madame Liu knows this matter is shameful. I turned pale, on the verge of collapse. Jiyu Ru, I have always treated you well. Although you are a concubine's daughter, since childhood, whatever I had, you had a share of it too. Why then do you covet what is not rightfully yours? Hearing this, Jiyu Ru, who was kneeling on the ground, suddenly looked up with hatred in her eyes. Who cares about your things? You are the father's daughter, and I am the father's daughter too. That is what I deserve, so stop pretending to be so virtuous. I looked at Jiyu Ru, whose face was contorted with rage, and felt a sense of unfamiliarity. Yes, we are both daughters of our father, but my mother is the daughter of a renowned scholar from Jiangnan, the head of the Jiyu general's household. Your birth mother, however, was merely a concubine offered by a colleague. Do you not understand the distinction between legitimate and illegitimate children? Seeing that her goal today was unattainable, Jiyu Ru decided to tear off the mask of civility. She scrambled to her feet, her expression disdainful as she met my gaze. The kindness you show me is nothing more than treating me like a pet, a mere toy to pass the time. Have you ever truly respected me? But now everything has changed. I am about to become the crown princess, and my sister will have to bow to me in the future. As she said this, she turned around and pulled Madame Liu off the ground. Mother, now that my status is higher than hers, you don't have to kneel to her. Becoming the crown princess is already a certainty. So what if I bear the name of being reviled? They curse me because they envy me. With that, he swaggered back towards the mansion. Plum Blossom stepped forward and declared loudly, Concubine Liu shows no respect for hierarchy and incites second miss to defy her superiors. She deserves a slap. Jiyu Ru, who had been so arrogant just moments ago, now looked panicked as the rough servants closed in. How dare you? What are you doing? I am the wife of the young master. Release my mother. Concubine Liu's face was filled with anxiety, her eyes constantly glancing towards Jiyu Ru's belly. Second miss, it's all right if I get beaten, but please take care of your own health. What a scene of maternal kindness and filial devotion. The panicked Jiyu Ru couldn't listen to anything. She just kept tugging at the clothes of the matrons, trying to save Auntie Liu. How could she, who had always been pampered, withstand the strength of the matrons who were used to hard labor? Not only did she get pinched several times, but she was also tripped by a foot that suddenly appeared from nowhere, just as Jiyu Ru was about to fall to the ground. A tall figure suddenly appeared and wrapped an arm around her waist. I squinted at that figure. Shunheng, you've finally come. After Jiyu Ru steadied herself, Shunheng tried to let go, but she held on to him tightly, her eyes red. She leaned against Shunheng and sobbed, I know my sister is angry, but if she wants to hit or scold, let it be directed at me. Why take it out on my aunt? There was no trace of the arrogance when he had spoken so boldly earlier. Shunheng took a step forward. His gaze fixed on me, as if he had 1,000 words to say. When he spoke, it was only one sentence. Lana, you've lost weight. I raised my chin, forcing back the warmth in my eyes. Your Highness, please don't address me like that. After all, your princess consort is watching right beside you. After hearing my words, Shunheng sighed dejectedly. Lana, I know you're upset. It's my fault. Jiyu Ru suddenly repeated her old trick, plopping down to her knees with a thud. Sister, it's all my fault. That night, the prince was drunk and mistook me for you. I've long admired the prince, which is why I didn't refuse. It's all my fault. Sister, please don't be angry with the prince. If sister refuses to forgive, then I will kneel here until I gain your forgiveness. What a clever move. Before I even said anything, she put on such an act, as if my not forgiving her would make me incredibly heartless, but it was clearly her who stole my fiancé. Shunheng instinctively reached out his hand, wanting to help Jiyu Ru up from the ground, but then seemed to suddenly realize I was there, and awkwardly froze between me and Jiyu Ru, his arm half extended, looking quite ridiculous. Jiyu Ru seized the opportunity to grasp Shunheng's fingertips, looking up at him with deep affection. As long as sister doesn't blame the young master, Ru will do anything. Jiyu Ru took all the blame onto herself, giving Shunheng enough face. Shunheng looked at Jiyu Ru kneeling on the cold ground with a gentle expression, then at me, who was silent with a dark face, and hesitated, as if struggling to decide which one to choose. After a long while, he finally sighed, reached out, and helped Ji-Yu-Ru up. Stand up first, it's cold on the ground. Ji-Yu-Ru leaned limply against Shen-Heng's embrace, her eyes filled with triumph. He had ultimately chosen Ji-Yu-Ru. At that moment, Aunt Liu limped over. She knelt on the ground, bowing her head deeply. Her tone humble. Young mistress, if you are angry, please punish this servant instead. The second young mistress is with child and may not withstand any distress. Ji-Yu-Ru timely covered her abdomen and let out a low cry of pain. My stomach hurts so much. Then she fainted. I was about to step forward to check if Ji-Yu-Ru was really unconscious or not. But unexpectedly, I was knocked to the ground without any warning by Shen-Heng, who was beside her and panicking. His eyes were bloodshot as he picked up Ji-Yu-Ru horizontally and strode towards the residence. All that was left for me was his angry accusation. Ji-Yu-Jilan, you poisonous woman, I truly misjudged you in the past. If anything happens to my child, I will never let you off the hook. Plum Blossom rushed forward in a panic to check my scraped palm. Warm blood flowed from my palm, yet I felt no pain. Maybe it was because the pain in my chest was too sharp. I stood still for a long time. Finally, I convinced myself to accept the fact that Shen-Heng had changed his heart. He was no longer the Shen-Heng who worried about me twisting my ankle while walking and carefully cleared the stones from the ground for me. Now, for Ji-Yu-Ru's sake, he didn't hesitate to push me to the ground himself. All those years of affection were shattered by his own hands. I took a deep breath, wiped away the remaining tears in my eyes, and walked into the mansion with my head held high. If you are heartless, then I shall leave. Ji-Yu-Ru was too emotionally agitated, which affected her pregnancy, but she just needs to rest quietly. When the maid came to report, I had just finished bathing and was lying in bed, drowsy. Plum Blossom was indignant. Just now, a maid from over there came to report, saying they need some 100-year-old ginseng to nourish second Mrs. Body, and they kept saying it's for the future young master, as if they deserve it. Look at their status, they haven't even married in yet, and they're already putting on airs here. I waved my hand and said, just follow the standard allowance for a concubine's daughter. After this incident, Ji-Yu-Ru and I became enemies. She still harbored hopes of receiving the same treatment as before, which was nothing but a fool's dream. Lame's eyes darted around and she replied, yes, I will report this to them right away. In no time, Shen-Heng stormed into my courtyard, his anger palpable. Outside the door, the anxious voice of Lame came through. Young Master Shen, please wait, our young lady is unwell and has just taken her medicine and rested. Shen-Heng snorted coldly. Unwell? I saw her perfectly fine when she was making things difficult for Ru'er outside the door. She must be hiding something and doesn't dare to face me. Ji-Yu-Jilan, come out here. Why did you cut Ru'er's medicinal supplies? I was truly mistaken about you before, thinking you were gentle and poised, understanding and reasonable. Now it seems you're no different from those petty, short-sighted venomous women. Shen-Heng's noisy voice gave me a headache. I pushed the door open forcefully and said coldly, Ji-Yu-Ru has a threatened pregnancy. Did it also affect your brain? You immediately demand a century-old ginseng to replenish her body. I'm afraid even the prince's grandmother doesn't receive such treatment. Shen-Heng paused for a moment, then said, Ru'er is young, pregnant, and frightened. Naturally, she needs something with a long history to nourish her body. Can't you, as her sister, be more understanding? Her child isn't mine. Why should I be understanding? If the prince truly sympathizes with Ji-Yu-Ru, why hasn't he quickly gone to buy the ginseng to make the medicine? Shen-Heng waved his sleeve angrily. Fine, I'll go myself. He suddenly stopped in his tracks, glaring intently at the charcoal brazier in my room and sneering. You claim to be so magnanimous, yet why is your room using red luo charcoal while Ru'er uses black charcoal? What a joke! This red luo charcoal was sent by my grandmother, who was concerned about my fear of the cold, and it was brought from thousands of miles away. In the past, I was never stingy, even sharing half of this priceless treasure directly with Ji-Yu-Ru. Unexpectedly, I ended up raising such a thankless wretch. I feigned surprise. The young master reminds me. When Shen-Heng heard my response, A hint of pride colored his expression. I waved to the Wintersuite, according to the second young lady's allowance. She should only receive 1 basket of black charcoal daily, right? Plum Blossom stepped forward alertly and reported. Yes, but miss, you've always been so considerate of second miss. Not only do you provide 10 baskets of black charcoal daily, but you've even allocated quite a bit of the red luo charcoal that your grandmother sent all the way from afar. I enjoyed the momentary stunned expression on Shunheng's face, since the young master has spoken specifically. Then let's follow the regular allotment. The next day, Shunheng came again. I thought he was here to visit Jiyu Ru, so I didn't go over. Who would have thought that after a while, he quietly came to my courtyard. I was sitting by the window playing the qin, as the Empress Dowager was going to hold a flower viewing banquet, and there would certainly be performances of talent. After the piece ended, Shunheng clapped for me, and I realized he had been there for who knows how long. I frowned. Very displeased. We are now completely unrelated. I hope young Master Shun will respect himself. Who would have thought that Shunheng would smile at me? Lana, are you still jealous? How did I never notice before that Shunheng's mind was so muddled? I gave a cold laugh. Just leave quickly. I don't want to see you. Instead of retreating, he moved closer to me. Lana, after all, it's my fault. But how can our 10 years of affection be so easily severed? How about this? You remain my wife, and let Ruer be the concubine. What do you say? How did I never notice before that Shunheng's mind was so muddled? I said bluntly. What kind of daydream are you having in broad daylight? Shunheng, I must have been blind to have ever liked you. Fortunately, heaven had mercy and didn't let you. This scoundrel, waste too much of my time. Get lost. With that, I grabbed whatever was nearby and hurled it at him. Shunheng dodged around. His voice filled with frustration as he shouted, "How can you be so ungrateful? Woman, I kindly advised you, yet you act like a shrew, throwing things wildly. You're not even worth a single strand of Ruer's hair." The shouting drew the maids in the courtyard. They hurriedly escorted Shunheng out. I no longer had the heart to practice the piano and angrily blamed myself for being so blind before. Before I knew it, it was time for dinner. I carefully fixed myself up in front of the mirror and even put on the new hairpin my grandmother had bought for me. Only then did I leisurely make my way to the dining hall. Jiyu Ru and Aunt Liu had already arrived ahead of time. When I entered, Auntie Liu hurriedly stepped forward to pay her respects, while secretly tugging on Jiyu Ru, who was reluctant beside her. I pretended not to notice their little actions and picked up a book from the side to read, in the silence. Auntie Liu's cautious voice suddenly broke the stillness. "Miss, the steward just mentioned that the second miss needs to pay for some medicinal herbs herself. Could it be due to the recent high expenses in our household? Over the years, I've saved a bit of my own money. If needed, I can take it out to help with the finances for a few days." I glanced outward without showing any emotion and indeed saw my father's figure. Auntie Liu timed her words perfectly. She not only pointed out that my mother and I spent too much during our trip to Jiangnan, but also subtly accused me of withholding medicine for Jiyu Ru, all while boosting her own favor. "Look, you mother and daughter go out and splurge openly, while I, as an auntie, use my personal savings to support the household." I smiled faintly. "Auntie Liu, you worry too much. All the income of the household, apart from father's salary, comes from the estates and shops that mother brought as dowry. Naturally, you wouldn't know the specifics of the earnings, but if you're willing, you can always contribute your dowry to the public funds. As for the medicinal materials you mentioned, the court physician immediately asked for a century-old ginseng." I took a sip of tea and spoke calmly. "I suppose since I am not yet married, I am unaware that a disturbed qi during pregnancy is so precious that such a rare medicinal material like a century-old ginseng is casually needed." Jiyu Ru suddenly stood up. "Where is it rare? Isn't there one in your mother's storeroom? At the end of the day, you're just jealous that I'm carrying the child of the Marquis of Shin. You wish I would die." Father walked in, Ruer, shouting and screaming. "What kind of behavior is that?" Seeing Jiyu Ru's wronged expression, my mood improved, and I even ate an extra bowl of rice. After the meal, Aunt Liu eagerly served father some digestion tea, while praising me. "Indeed, the water and soil of Jiangnan are nurturing. It's been a long time since I last saw you, and the eldest young lady looks even more stunning than before." I smiled faintly, well aware of her ill intentions. "Auntie, you have a good eye." Jiu Ru's envious gaze lingered on me for several moments. "Sister's outfit is truly beautiful, and the hairpin style is also very fashionable." As she spoke, she inadvertently revealed her sleeves that were too short, then quickly covered them up in a fluster. This mother and daughter duo were practically on the verge of directly asking me for things. Aunt Liu timidly glanced at father. "The dress on the second young lady seems a bit short. It's fine within the residence. But what if one day the young master comes to visit his child and notices? It would be a loss of face for the master." Father frowned. "Didn't we just buy a few new outfits a few days ago?" Auntie Liu's expression was somewhat conflicted as she cautiously glanced at me. "I don't know the reason, but this time only 2 bolts of fabric were brought, and the styles are very old-fashioned." Father was indeed angry. "These people who curry favor based on who they're dealing with. Come, call the steward to me." Uncle Wang respectfully knelt on the ground to explain. "In the past, when second young lady needed new clothes, the allocation was based on the amount given to the eldest young lady, with any excess being paid for by Madam herself. Since Madam is not here, what was sent was the separate allocation from the estate. The estate's purchases are always made at Cheongyi Fang, the largest shop in the capital. The styles may not compare to the fabrics Madam brings from Jiangnan, but they are still of the finest quality, eagerly sought after by many households." Jiu Ru did not believe it and continued to angrily accuse Wang Bo. "You're lying. From childhood to adulthood, everything I ate, wore, and used was of the finest quality. Why has it suddenly changed now? Tell me, is someone making you deliberately make things difficult for me?" Wang Bo was extremely helpless. "Second miss, there is no other secondary daughter in the entire capital who is treated the same as a legitimate daughter like you. It's not that this old servant is making things difficult, it's simply according to the prescribed allowances." Jiu Ru, relying on her pregnancy, made a huge fuss. "I don't care, I want everything to be the same as before. I also want the dresses and hairpins my sister has." Her eyes darted around. "Otherwise, when the Duke of Shen sees, he'll think you're deliberately mistreating his wife and child, and it will be a loss of face for father." Father looked at me with a troubled expression. "Lana, I know you've always been sensible. Look at this." I met my father's gaze, slowly but firmly shaking my head. "Father, these clothes and hairpins were given by my grandmother. I cherish them dearly." "You're lying." Jiu Ru's face twisted with jealousy. "The ones in my room were also given by your grandmother. Why were you willing to part with them before but not now?" A commanding voice came from outside the door. "Whatever my mother gave to Lana, it's up to Lana to decide." The mother, dusty and weary, appeared at the door. "Even if it were to be given to cats and dogs, I wouldn't waste it on someone as ungrateful as you." I joyfully stepped forward. "Mother is back." Aunt Liu also quickly stepped forward to pay her respects. "Madam is back. Why didn't you let us know in advance, so the servants could have come to greet you?" Mother let out a cold laugh. "Do I need to report my return to the manor to you?" Speaking, her eyes flicking towards her father. "I was only away for a little over a month, yet I hear that second girl has snatched Lana's fiancé and is even with child. If I hadn't returned, my Lana, my dowry, wouldn't have been completely devoured by you all." The day after her mother returned, the Duke of Shen's wife came to discuss the wedding arrangements. She looked at her mother, her face pale and haggard. This unfilial son must have been fed some kind of charm. He's adamant about marrying Jiu Ru. Her mother shook her head. "Forget it. After all, they just weren't meant to be husband and wife. The engagement was merely an oral agreement at the time, without a formal marriage contract. Which now simplifies things. The wedding date was set for a month later, which was quite rushed. But what could be done? After all, Jiu Ru's pregnancy would soon become impossible to hide." Jiu Ru, accompanied by Aunt Liu, came to make trouble several times over the dowry list. But mother deflected them each time with a firm yet tactful approach. "Just one sentence. A daughter born of a concubine should be treated accordingly. If it's too little, have your aunt make up the difference." Jiu Ru thus married out, feeling wronged. However, the life of a prince's wife she had longed for was not easy. When she went out to socialize, everyone ridiculed her for seducing her brother-in-law and getting pregnant before marriage. The Duke's wife already disliked her, maintaining only a superficial politeness in public, but treating her like a stranger once back in the mansion. Even Xianxia, who had been gentle and considerate towards her, lost his temper with Jiyu Ru several times due to losing face outside. Their next encounter was at the flower viewing banquet hosted by the Empress Dowager. Several days in advance, my mother had already picked out several sets of dresses for me and bought many new accessories, hoping to make me shine at the banquet. On this day, I appeared before everyone, dressed to perfection and glowing with radiance. Immediately, several ladies surrounded me, offering warm greetings and inquiries. I politely exchanged pleasantries, but inadvertently met Jiyu Ru's venomous gaze. She sat alone in a corner, with a large empty space around her. Even though she held the title of the prince's wife, no one was willing to engage with her. Seeing me look over, a malicious smile suddenly appeared on her haggard face as she stood up and walked straight towards me. "Sister, how have you been lately?" I calmly took 2 steps back to create distance, maintaining a composed demeanor. "Your current status is noble. I dare not accept you calling me sister." Jiyu Ru was quite pleased with herself. She reached up to adjust the red hairpin on her head. "That day, I saw your hairpin was novel and wanted to borrow it for a moment, but you refused. Now, take a look at my red hairpin. Does it catch your eye?" I smiled faintly. "Lady of the prince, you jest. That day, you didn't just want to admire it, you wanted to claim it for yourself. The hairpin was a gift from my grandmother, and Lana dare not give it away to others. As for your hairpin, Lana is different from you. Even if someone else's things are excellent, I don't covet them." A burst of laughter erupted from the crowd. Jiyu Ru's face turned pale and green. "Sister is still so sharp-tongued. It seems that the annulment of the engagement has had no impact on you at all. Truly good poise. But I wonder how the people of the entire capital will view you." I snorted coldly. "I act with integrity and sit upright, following my heart. If others understand me, they won't misunderstand me because of rumors. If they don't understand me, why should I care about their opinions?" "Well said." A round of applause suddenly rang out. I turned my head and saw that it was the Crown Prince, who had appeared at an unknown time. His face was warm and genial. While gesturing for everyone to rise, he nodded and said, "Indeed, she is the daughter of General Jiyu, truly broad-minded and uniquely insightful." He turned back, glancing at the ashen-faced Xianxia, and said meaningfully to his father who followed behind, "General Jiyu is indeed a master at educating his daughter." Apart from the initial minor incident, the banquet proceeded smoothly. The young ladies who were of marriageable age all stepped forward to showcase their talents. When it was my turn, I played high mountains and flowing water with great poise. The Empress Dowager also bestowed upon me a red hairpin. After the banquet, I stood by the roadside, waiting for my mother to finish her farewells with the ladies. A young palace maid hurried past and accidentally bumped into me. I narrowed my eyes as I held the small note that had been slipped into my hand. Looking around to ensure no one was watching, I opened it to take a look. The handwriting on the note was strong and very familiar. "Tomorrow at noon, outside the city, Peach Blossom Grove." It was Xianxia's handwriting. I chuckled softly and tossed it to the ground. "Men, it seems, are only truly honest when they're 6 feet under." Over the next few days, rumors spread throughout the capital that the Crown Prince had taken a liking to the eldest daughter of General Jiyu. At first, I didn't pay much attention, but the rumors only grew more intense. On this day, while praying for my family, I happened to encounter Xianxia accompanying Jiyu Ru in her worship. After more than 10 days of absence, Jiyu Ru's belly was slightly swollen, her eye sockets sunken, and her face bore an unmistakable look of weariness. She knelt before the Buddha, her expression filled with fear. Unwilling to be seen by her and risk further trouble, I quietly took a step back, preparing to leave. I accidentally stepped on someone's foot. I looked up apologetically, "Sorry," but when I recognized the person's face, I changed my words. "Oh, it's you. Sorry, I should have put more force into it." Xianxia's face had a few scratches, looking a bit disheveled. Seeing Jiyu Ru about to turn around, We both instinctively hurried out of the hall. Shunheng suddenly reached out to grab me. Lana, I was wrong. Now I realize you are the best woman in the world. Would you give me another chance? I quickly took a step back to avoid his touch, then said unhappily, Shunheng, what's wrong with you again? He tugged at his hair, looking pained. I was just having a small gathering with my colleagues, but Ji Ru became suspicious and accused me of keeping a concubine. She even scratched me like this. I remained expressionless. Oh, you deserve it. Shunheng took another step forward, his words earnest. Lana, I truly know I was wrong. Can't you forgive me just this once for the sake of our many years of feelings? I was getting annoyed. If your brain is broken, go get it treated. Don't spout nonsense to me. Besides, since you married Ji Ru, you must take responsibility for her, especially since she's carrying your child. With that, I turned to leave. A frenzied voice suddenly rang out. What are you doing? It was Ji Ru. Her eyes widened, constantly shifting between me and Shunheng, making me feel somewhat uneasy. Suddenly, she smiled eerily. Sister, why do you still cling to Shunheng even though I'm already married to him? Ji Ru's counterattack was so absurd that it almost made me laugh in anger. I pointed my finger at Shunheng, who was standing to the side. Do you think he's some kind of delicacy that everyone wants a bite of? I don't care for him at all, let alone the fact that he was already someone I discarded. Ji Ru looked at me with a strange expression. Yes. Now that sister has caught the eye of the crown prince, naturally she doesn't put the Marquis's son in her sights anymore. Sister truly has remarkable skills. When exactly did you manage to win the crown prince's heart? You two couldn't have known each other for a long time, right? She said, covering her mouth and laughing. The young master always felt guilty towards his sister, but it turns out he's the most pitiful one. Shunheng's face turned ashen, and he angrily confronted me. Is what Ruer said true? You've been secretly conspiring with the crown prince all along. I can't believe I used to be so deeply in love with you. I looked at the two of them, acting in perfect harmony, and was utterly speechless. Ji Ru seized the opportunity to pour oil on the fire. Then let's hope that sister can achieve her wish soon. Ruer would also like to bask in sister's glory and have the title of a crown prince's sister-in-law to impress people with. But I wonder when His Highness the Crown Prince will actually come to marry sister. Let's not end up with nothing but an empty basket. I took a deep breath, just about to counterattack, but a warm voice came from not far away. When I, the Crown Prince, will marry Miss Ji, it is naturally none of the business of the Lady Shun, the daughter of the Marquis. The Crown Prince narrowed his eyes and smiled faintly. Madame Shun is with child and has no mind to care for the young master of the Shun household. I shall inform my mother and request her to bestow a few attentive servants to attend to the young master. Ji Ru's face was filled with indignation, but she was harshly pulled by Shunheng and reluctantly knelt down to express her gratitude. The couple hastily withdrew after their greetings, having been caught in the act of speaking ill of the Crown Prince behind his back. They knew they had to leave quickly or risk being punished. I playfully bowed to the Crown Prince. Thank you, Your Highness, for coming to my rescue and upholding my father's honor. I am well aware of my humble status, and after returning, I will immediately investigate the source of the street rumors to ensure I do not cause you any trouble. The Crown Prince is 4 years older than me and appears very steady. He waved his hand. You're too polite. I did not do this solely for General Gu's sake. At the flower viewing banquet, the eldest young lady was poised and graceful, deeply winning my heart. I wonder how the eldest young lady feels about me. The Crown Prince's eyes held a glint of amusement. If you do not dislike me, then I shall go and ask my father to grant us a marriage. What do you say? I widened my eyes in surprise. Your Highness, it's just a rumor. The Crown Prince's eyes flashed with a hint of cunning. If I hadn't given my permission, who would dare to spread rumors about me? Yes, speaking ill of the royal family is a serious offense, but when did I catch the Crown Prince's eye? Was it really at the flower viewing banquet? I swallowed my surprise and smiled graciously. I leave it all to Your Highness's decision. The next day, the news of my appointment as Crown Princess spread through the palace. Mother held my hand. Her expression excited yet tinged with a hint of worry. Lana, when we agreed to the marriage with Shunheng, It was because we were familiar with each other's families, and I thought it would be easier for you to adjust to married life, now that you've encountered such a great fortune. Although it's an immense blessing, there will likely be no shortage of troubles ahead. I held Mother's hand firmly, unafraid. To wear a crown, one must bear its weight. Mother, trust in Lana. A few days later, news spread that Jiyu had a miscarriage. After returning, the crown prince indeed granted people to Shunheng by the empress, for were given at once. Jiyu was furious and immediately lost her temper, smashing several pieces of porcelain. Shunheng, with a bitter expression, took the initiative to settle the 4 beautiful concubines in the front courtyard to prevent Jiyu from losing control again. This angered Jiyu, taking advantage of Shunheng's absence. She rushed to the front courtyard, insisting on selling off the concubines, who among those from the palace would be easy to deal with. During the scuffle, for some reason, Jiyu was suddenly shoved forcefully. The child, over 5 months old, is gone. In the face of Shunheng's pained expression, she kept shouting about something, blaming it all on these alluring little sluts. It wasn't until Shunheng slapped her hard twice that she finally calmed down, being young and having her first child. Jiyu didn't take good care of her body, constantly breaking things and cursing under her breath. Her body was finally damaged beyond repair, rendering her unable to bear children. On the day Jiyu got married, she had already made it clear that she would have no further ties with the general's estate. Now, everything she faces is a result of her own actions. Her mother had already arranged a suitable match for her, a young man from her uncle's family, well off and honest. Master said that next year's imperial exam will definitely see him on the honor roll. Unfortunately, Jiyu doesn't approve and insists on stealing her own brother-in-law. Now it's all come back to haunt her. The maids came to report that the servants in the front yard said Jiyu sent a letter saying she misses home and wants to come back to visit. I chuckled softly, ignoring him and focusing on embroidering the wedding dress in my hands. The wedding date was set for half a year later, which seemed rather rushed. I didn't want to waste my efforts on unimportant people. I saw Shunheng again on the day of my wedding. I bid farewell to my parents in the front hall and, as I walked out, caught a glimpse of Shunheng, who seemed to have aged a decade. He furrowed his brow slightly, his lips trembling, as if he had something to say. I picked up the fan in my hand and covered my face. The next time we meet, you will kneel before me and address me as Your Highness, the Crown Princess. After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.